Meanwhile, important news coming in, and according to sources, the Tata Group has bid itself to buy out Air India, the beleaguered airline. Tata Group has submitted an expression of interest for the beleaguered national carrier Air India. Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri had earlier said that the airline will have to be shut if it is not privatized. Reportedly, the country's largest conglomerate will pave its way into Air India through AirAsia India, an airline which was launched in 2013 in partnership with Malaysia's AirAsia. The group is also a major stakeholder in AirAsia India. Now remember, the national airline was set up by Tata Sons itself way back in 1932 as Tata Airlines, which the government then took over in 1953. So we are getting to know that at 5 p.m. today is the deadline for submissions, and Tatas have made a bid for Air India. Interestingly, in 1932, Tatas were the ones to have founded Air India as Tata Airlines. Later, the government took control in 1953. Avni is joining me from the newsroom for more information. So, Avni, interestingly, the Tatas were the founders of what we know as Air India today, and it's interesting that they should be the ones to bid to own this airline again.
Yes, absolutely. This is an interesting turn of events here with Tata's coming into the fray now. And let's remember, this is just the first step. What we understand is that Tata's have reportedly submitted an expression of interest. So that's the first step towards this entire process. And we'll, of course, have to see how it really goes on. These processes usually take a lot of time. But let's just go back and see this entire timeline of Air India from when it started. So in 1932 is when Tata Sons set up Tata Airlines. That was the original name as far as this airline is concerned. In 1946 is when Tata Airlines was renamed as Air India, and that's when it came to be known as the Air India. Then in 1953, the government took control of Air India at that point in time. That happened in 1953. Then in 1977, J.R.D. Tata continued to remain as the chairman of the airline of Air India. So that was still in that phase. And then 1995, the government rejected Tata's airline launch. That is when that happened. And in 2001, the government rejected Tata's bid for Air India. And then, of course, since then, we know what's been happening. In the last couple of years, the government has been trying very hard to get somebody to take over Air India and to run it because of the kind of losses that the airline has been seeing. Initially, there was no interest at all in the airline. And then, of course, the government was then forced to sweeten the offer, make it easier for whoever is interested to take over the airline, and that is where we are at this point in time, with Tata's having submitted an expression of interest for the airline. Afrida.
Thank you so much, Avni, for giving us the background and the interesting timeline of events.